theories, which have become quite popular amongst those people who identify as progressive. I know you've been fairly critical of those ideas. Why do you think that they're popular now?
Well, first of all, there are conspiracies, no question about it. In fact, sometimes sometimes they have big effects. Like take the suburbanization of America, the huge government, state, corporate social engineering projects, which were largely dedicated to maximizing the inefficient use of fossil fuels, with everything that goes along with it. Well, that may destroy the species, so it's not insignificant. But it did start as a literal conspiracy of General Motors, Standard Oil of California, and Firestone Rubber to buy up and destroy the fairly efficient electric transport system in Los Angeles and other cities, destroy it and turn it into the monstrosity we have. Okay, that was a conspiracy. In fact, they were taken to court and fined a couple $1,000s. But looking for something hidden that's sort of beneath the surface, that's really running things, I think that's sometimes it's true, but usually it's, in my view, it turns out to be a pathology. And I think it comes from a sense that I don't like the way things are. And so there must be some hidden hand somewhere that's...
Grace and peace, y'all. Noam Chomsky is talking about conspiracies. I just call this 60 minutes because I want to show y'all two short videos. And could this be the missing key? I do remember, Sister Wokefield, grace and peace. I do remember some Ethiopian sisters saying some stuff a while back. And I'm going to try to see if we can put this together with some other stuff. But just tell me what y'all think. Tell me what y'all think. As a matter of fact, let me get straight into it. Let me stop Norm right here. We'll pick up on that tomorrow. But I want to show fervent charity. Listen to this. Just listen to this. Good to see you, Elder Johnson. I was just getting ready to hit you in the email. Lord have mercy. Fair use. Just listen. Just listen before Muck Run and them get here. Want to see what fervent charity have to say.
Greetings, family. Welcome to the African Exodus Show. I'm your host, Tini Cherie, here to you with a new video. This is the Conspiracy to Erase a Nation segment.
Conspiracy to erase a nation. Y'all have heard crafty counsel, Psalms 83. Maybe it wasn't 135. Y'all said Bar Kokhba. Y'all said the Bar Kokhba revolt with Black Israelites. Y'all said that Josephus, Maimonides, who else were Black Israelites? I don't think y'all saying Akiba, Rabbi Akiba. But listen to this. Could the conspiracy have taken place somewhere outside of Jerusalem and before 70 AD? Could it be the people Jesus was talking to, no matter the scripture said he came among his own and his own received him not? I think if he was God in the flesh, he would have known. But let's just play along with it. Could it be that in John 8, those people said we were never in bondage because that was already a whole new group of people? Fair use.
Segment, we're going to get into the subject of a book that I wrote this year called Conspiracy to Erase a Nation. This book is available on Amazon. If you would like
a
mini PDF version of this book, you can go to my Telegram. The link is in the description. Up on top, there is a pinned comment. You go to that pinned comment, and that is the PDF. So prayerfully, everyone who's watching this has been on this journey, this video lecture series journey with me, and you know the background information for which I am presenting this new information to you. I say that because we're reaching a point where we've established that there's a conspiracy. Clearly, the Bible points to the fact that Palestine literally could not match the description of the Yasharel of the Bible. Because of that, we have to say, well, if the Bible is true, then that means that Palestine cannot be the Holy Land inside of the so-called Middle East. That just cannot be it.
Now, a lot of people don't agree. We said we're going to have to lay into this history, but I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to refrain from commenting and let y'all hear it from this aspect fully laid out.
Therefore, we have to figure out where the real Holy Land is. And we've gone through that. We've talked about the fact that the true Holy Land would have been inside of East Africa, particularly
all the archaeological, never mind,
Ethiopia, Eritrea, Djibouti, and also parts of Sudan. This is important to emphasize because there are kingdoms that we can now definitively say this must be the true Yasharel. The kingdom of Damant is one of the kingdoms we have talked about previously, and also the kingdom of Aksum also matches the description of Yasharel. And obviously, a major kingdom does not switch destinations without a conspiracy having been done in order to undo the historical record and cover up the truth. And so now what we're going to get into is what exactly happened to wipe out the history of Yasharel from the region of East Africa. What happened? How did it happen? Was it something that was an all-at-once event, as we are told in some accounts of what happened to Yasharel? Or is this something that was a gradual event over time? I will argue the latter, but let's get into the facts and talk about the fact that Yasharel was erased from this region, and then we'll discuss how. So we're first going to start with this Bible verse because this is an important detail about what would happen to the Yahudim, or the Jews, who would, after the crucifixion or after the death and resurrection of Yahusha, who would be erased from their region, erased from their community. We read a scripture that describes this. There's two scriptures I'm actually going to reference. We're going to start with Luke 21, 20 through 24. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then recognize that her desolation is near. Then those who are in Yehuda must flee to the mountains, and those who are inside the city must leave. And those who are in the country must not enter the city, because these are the days of punishment, so that all things which have been written will be fulfilled. Woe to those women who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be great distress upon the land and wrath to this people, and they will fall by the edge of the sword and will be led into all the nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Let's also go to Matthew 24. So verses 1 through 2 says, Yahusha left the temple.
Now, I would ask myself, one of the earliest manuscripts that we have of the Gospels before the first century, this had to have been written before a conspiracy, or the conspiracy took place. Father God, let's just hear them out. Let's just hear them out. All these grown folk can't be lying. All these grown folk can't be this confused.
And was going on his way when his disciples came up to point out the temple building to him. But he responded and said to them, do you not see all these things? Truly I say to you, not one stone here will be left upon another which will not be torn down. I'm going to jump to verse 18. It says, and whoever is in the field must not turn back to get his cloak. But woe to those women who are pregnant and those who are nursing babies in those days. Moreover, pray that when you flee, it will not be in the winter or on a Sabbath, for then there will be a great tribulation, such as has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will again. And if those days had not been cut short, no one would have been saved. But for the sake of the elect,
the great tribulation is just Israel going into chattel slavery, transatlantic.
Those days will be cut short. So we are told a number of things from these two scriptures about what would happen to the children of Yasharel after Yahusha's death and resurrection. One, we know that the temple will be destroyed entirely. It will be the temple that will not be standing. For this reason, we can cross out a number of buildings that are present in East Africa as being the temple of Solomon, notably the Yeha temple. It's still standing, whereas Yahusha tells us that that building will not be standing. If you have not seen my previous video on where the real Jerusalem is, I give you the building that I believe was the temple of Solomon. I'll go and leave that.
They're going to go to Ethiopia and said Solomon went to Ethiopia, built the temple, and Israel was in Ethiopia. I got to get Forever Charity on top of this.
At the end of this video. But we know that the temple will be destroyed. It also talks about that the Hebrews will be led into captivity emphasize, into all nations. And of course, if you're going by the record that we received from Judaism, there's no international slave trade wherein the Yahudi or wherein the Jewish people would have been taken into all nations. So if you go to number 3, Gentiles will overtake Jerusalem. So these Gentiles would rule over the city. And number 4, the great tribulation will occur unlike any that ever occurred before. But this details is the erasure of Yasharel. This details the fact that Yasharel would not be a kingdom or a people continuously in this area that they inhabited, and that people would replace them, really leading to an erasure of the entire knowledge of the fact that these people originated from this region. And if it were not for the Holy Scriptures having been preserved over time, there would not be any knowledge of a Yasharel.
Ron Dalton also, I heard he went to Africa. I'm not sure what part, but he's postulating this theory also.
So that's important to emphasize. And I know many of you are going to say, no, Tierney, this scripture is talking about 70 AD. 70 AD is the account that we've been given by a Pharisee named Josephus and a number of other Pharisees inside of Talmudic Judaism. This account says essentially that the Romans came in and burned down the Yahudim colony, the Yahudim colony. And after this, essentially, that was the end of the Yahudim's presence inside of the Holy Land. I will put forth more information on this point, particularly on Josephus, as I've said, and Josephus was an imposter. People who lean on his historical accounts, not knowing that there are even blatant lies that he has peddled. I would argue and push back. Do not lean on this person. Treat them like you would any other source. We know that many sources.
So she's saying, don't trust Josephus. Now we're going to treat her. We're going to trust her. So wait a minute, Phineas, wait a minute. So we got South Africa, we got Ethiopia, and we got the people in the fake land over there, which ain't the real land. What evidence do they have for all of it? What in God's green earth? Let me let it play. Let's just hear them out. Church could have deceived us. We deceived. We in Constantinian Christianity. So we don't know. So let's just hear them out.
Will distort history for their own expediency, and Josephus was no different. He also has a very sketchy history, so you should definitely not give deference to him. So Josephus, all of these people who have pushed this narrative have an agenda. On the other hand, those people who we would say would verify this happening, particularly the way that Josephus said that it happened, would say that there's not a lot of evidence that supports Josephus' account of 70 AD. So I'm not saying that the Romans did not attack those people who identified themselves as being Jewish inside of Palestine. I'm not saying the Romans did not attack them, but I'm saying that the Josephus account does not match the historical record. Other accounts do not match the historical record. What we can take away from that event is that, particularly for those who identify themselves under the vestiges of Judaism, they were probably persecuted by the Romans in 70 AD, the way that they have said. However, as we've gone into detail on this channel, being a people of Palestine, a Jewish people of Palestine, versus being Yasharel, two very different things. And for that reason, we can make a differentiation that what happened to them was not what happened to Yasharel, the Yahudim of the Bible. So then what did happen if there was no 70 AD? Well, we're going to get into that right now. So we're going to start with the Oromo again. I gave you details on the erasure of the Oromo. I do not think that the Oromo constitute the entire people of Yasharel. I believe that they're probably a tribe, probably the Yahudim, but obviously this is speculation. I have nothing to prove this. All I know is that these people are the biggest tribe inside of Ethiopia today. They were a massive force inside of the kingdoms of Damat and also inside of Aksum at the time where those kingdoms ruled. So we can say that this was a sizable people and probably one of the 12 tribes, if not a part of one of the 12 tribes. All speculation. We can't know for sure who they were, who their identity was, but we know they were there. We also know that the Agal and the Kaman are the other two tribes of today that would have been there as well, also would have been Yahudim or Jews. It seems that the first major step inside of the dispersion of the Yahudim would have happened under the Emperor Menelik. Menelik the first, particularly, he lived from 982 CE to 957 CE, and he enacted a very brutal system of mass extermination on the original inhabitants of this kingdom. And so we read from Professor Asante Jalanta again. It says, Menelik unleashed a system of mass extermination and enslavement against the Oromo. Menelik subjecting the south, southeast, southwest Oromos and other related groups. Menelik used the booties and slaves from these conquered territories as a springboard for achieving his broad colonial and imperial scheme to dominate Ethiopia, mainly for the benefit of his men's group. The conquest, therefore, has a special significance for all groups presently suffering under the yoke of men's subjugation. The foreign powers provided advice and material supplies to Menelik's subjugation of the southern territories. A colonized man who survived the wanton and onslaught of Menelik's
Somebody got to buy her book. We got to figure out, we got to run this one down. We got to run this sauce down. Somebody get her book. I can't do, but somebody got to get a book. We got to look deep into this stuff here. We want to be in the know.
Army was either taken and sold as a slave or subjected to humiliation by the stationing of soldiers who had the license to rape his wife and daughters. So this tells us, or gives us, a plausible explanation as far as why the Oromo particularly were targeted for the Arab slave trade, which we're going to talk about inside of a follow-up video. The Arab slave trade literally targeted the Oromo. The Arab slave trade literally targeted Ethiopia, which is not a coincidence, we know, right? So Jalanta goes on to talk about Menelik solidifying his position inside of Ethiopia.
So fervent charity, it didn't take place until hundreds of years after the resurrection, and the resurrection wasn't even in Israel. So the Bar Kokhba revolt, all of that didn't even have nothing to do with none of y'all. Those are the fake people then. Boy, these stories got to come together somehow.
With the tale that many of us have heard of him being a descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. By the way, where did this whole tale originate of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba? It actually didn't originate in Ethiopia. It originated with Josephus. Josephus was the first historical account that we have that this supposed love child was from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. And as I put forth to you, if Yasharel was actually inside of Ethiopia, then we can cross out the idea that Ethiopia would have been Sheba. In fact, most people say that Sheba would have been Saba, which is inside of Arabia. So the Queen of Sheba would have been an Arabian, not an Ethiopian. Why would Josephus put forth this alternative narrative in order to give us an entirely different understanding of the Menelik dynasty? Well, Josephus would do that essentially to hide the fact that Yasharel was not inside of Palestine, was not inside of this place that he was trying to depict as being the true Yasharel, but instead was inside of East Africa. If he's trying to hide the fact that East Africa is not Yasharel.
So, Joe, this is the second person will try to give a conspiracy with Josephus that he worked with to write and frame the New Testament to deceive Israel. Wow, this is a mess. This is another angle of the Josephus conspiracy, that he deliberately want to throw y'all off and lie to y'all to hide and cover up.
He'll have an alternative explanation for why the Yahudim were present inside of East Africa. So using the Orthodox Christian ideology, Menelik gained access to European technology, weapons, administrative and military expertise, and other skills that allow him to consolidate the modern Ethiopian clientele state. Menelik and Haile Selassie established settler colonialism by establishing and consolidating the Habasa political and religious institutions, garrison in other cities, creating and reducing.
Menelik and Haile Selassie, Father, great God of heaven, help your people, Lord. Touch our minds. They say in denial, that's the first stage. When you're trying to come up that wicked Eurocentric Christianity, of course you're going to be in denial. And then shock, and you'll slowly accept it, Alton. I tell you.
An intermediary class, colonial education in the colonial landholding system, and the media. They forcefully converted some Oromo to Christianity by killing confident Oromo political and religious leaders. As one source noted, if a Christian would kill an Oromo, it would be considered for him an offering to God. The Oromo communities fought against the invading Christian kingdom until the advent of Ahmad Brong, a Muslim imam who conquered the Shewa kingdom and other independent communities between 1527 and 1543. Certain Oromo groups suffered immensely from the jihad wars because they were involved in both sides of the Christians and the Muslims. When the Christian and the Muslim forces were contesting in the Horn of Africa for power and control of resources such as lands, northern and southern Oromo fought to liberate their territories and conquer the Oromo communities from the two invaders. When the Abyssinian Christian kingdom attacked Tolama, Oromo clans such as Galan, Yeya, Waji, Abiju, and others, the Muslim empires also attacked the Oromo branches living in the area currently called Somalia and other areas. Before and after the 16th century, the Christian empire builders from the north and the Muslim empire builders from the south attacked the Oromo. So the Oromo were really getting hit by all sides, not only by the Abyssinians, but also by the Muslim invaders who were trying to conquer this region. So this gives us a better understanding of how the Oromo essentially were pushed out of the region. And also it's important to understand how Aksum starts to fade from history. Because Aksum, the fact that it no longer is not only in existence, but the fact that most people never heard of Aksum, most people don't know that this kingdom existed. Most people don't know that it was a powerful kingdom that existed, that actually traded with the Romans and the Greeks and was very known inside of the ancient world. The fact that it is erased has to be for a reason, because something so mighty, imagine if no one ever heard of Rome got erased from the historical record. We would have to make the conclusion that someone wiped it away. Same thing with Aksum. The fact that Aksum was erased from the historical records tells us that someone erased this history. So the plausible explanation I have for you is the reason why this was erased is not 70 AD, but rather another historical massive event that happened. And we're told bits and pieces of it. Essentially, a Jewish queen raids the Ethiopian region, and this woman is known as Gudit or Judith. And this queen is known to have completely devastated the Aksumite Empire, which really led to the weakening of the empire and ultimately conquered the empire. So this Aksum, she went on a murderous rampage throughout Aksum. Literally burned down churches, burned down.
In 970, we're off a whole 1,000 years. Why is the world just hearing disinformation?
Temples, burned down monuments, literature, slaughtered priests and monks. And also, we know she destroyed the members of the royal family. So this is all interesting because if we have no history pointing to what Aksum was in the ancient world, we can only assume that this is intentional. And this Jewish queen has been labeled by many as the progenitor of the end of the Aksumite Empire. The fact that literature was a target, the fact that monuments, history was a target of her raid. It was not a simple going to war with a nation. It was wiping out a nation.
Listen to Fervent Charity, y'all. If everybody looking at
we can say that this likely was the event that led to the wiping out of Yasharel's mighty kingdom. Some interesting things about Gudit. She is not exactly well known as far as who she was, where did she come from. There's a lot of different theories on her. But the major things that has been confirmed through history that she was a Jewish queen. Some people have speculated she could have been from the country or the people we know today as the Falashas or the Beta Israel people. If she was from Beta Israel, that would obviously be very interesting. And there's also the possibility, though, that she was a part of the Agau or the Zagwe dynasty that would reign after her rampage. However, even inside of the Jewish Encyclopedia, they call her the Queen of Beta Israel. She is attested to inside of different historical documents as well. And in the history of the patriarchs of Alexandria, it's recorded that from 973 to 1003 CE, that King George of Nubia received an appeal from an unnamed ruler of Aksum seeking the appointment of a new metropolitan. The letter describes how a woman laid waste to the country as well as displacing the emperor and his followers by driving them from place to wipe out Christianity. I would say that she was not only there to wipe out Christianity, she was there to wipe out the entire history of that people And we know the original identity of the original inhabitants of this area. She was there to wipe that out as well. So this thoroughly explains really how the original Yasharites would have been wiped out from their kingdom and the historical records so far.
That's it. I'm like L. Ron Hubbard. I'm finna start a religion. I'm finna start a religion. I can tell stories pretty good. I'm finna give these folks some stories out here. This is not making any sense to me, but I'm slow. All right, what about this? Jesus' ministry wasn't even where we thought it was. This is only 10 minutes. Y'all help me. We got to put our heads together. Fair use.
Greetings, family. Welcome to the African Exodus Show. I'm your host, Tierney Cherie. Thank you for joining me for this segment, Conspiracy to Erase a Nation. In this particular segment, I'm going to break down that the New Testament, as well as the Old Testament, but this segment will focus on the New Testament, absolutely unequivocally points to the fact that it took place not inside of Palestine, but in the true location of the kingdom of Yasharel. That was in East Africa and encompassed a number of kingdoms.
Now, all you New Testament people in here, let's just, she gonna make me cuss.
Or a number of countries as we know them today. Those countries would be Eritrea, Ethiopia, Sudan, Djibouti. All of those countries were encompassed inside of the region where the true Israel or Yasharel was located. Now, in this video, we're going to go through a number of things that I discussed in the book. I want to just emphasize to you all, I see a lot of comments of people who are asking questions or kind of picking apart certain points that I make and saying, well, what about this and what about that? I encourage you, if you're truly interested in the research behind what I'm saying, to buy the book. And I only say that not just for, the book to get sold, but because number one, it's hard for me and just redundant, frankly, to answer over and over again people who are bringing up issues that I do cover in the book. In addition, there is a short form of the book that I did post on my Telegram and also on Patreon. I just want to emphasize to you all, Telegram is very easy to download. I've had a number of people say that they're unsure about downloading a new app. I promise you it's very easy to download. You just click the link that's in the description. It will take you right there. So with no further ado, let's get ready for this presentation. For the New Testament passages, two passages that actually show that the New Testament does not reflect Palestine. So let's talk about Mark 5:1-21. Many of you, I'm very sure, are familiar with this story. This is when Yahusha cast out demons out of a man, and the demon spirits go into a pig. Now, it says in Mark 5:1-21, they came to the other side of the sea, into the region of Gerasenes. When he got out of the boat, immediately a man from the tomb with an unclean spirit met him. He lived among the tombs, and no one was able to bind him anymore, not even with a chain, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been torn apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces, and no one was strong enough to subdue him. Constantly, night and day, he was screaming among the tombs and in the mountains and cutting himself with stones. Seeing Yahusha from a distance, he ran up and bowed down before him, and shouting with a loud voice, he said, "What business do you have with me, Yahusha, son of the Most High Elohim? I implore you by Yahuwah, do not torment me." For he had already been saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And he was asking him, "What is your name?" And he said to him, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he begged him earnestly not to send them out of the region. Now there was a large herd of pigs feeding nearby on the mountain, and the demons begged him, saying, "Send us into the pigs, so that we may enter them." Yahusha gave them permission. And coming out, the unclean spirits entered the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep banks into the sea. About 2,000 of them, and they were drowned in the sea. When Yahusha had crossed over again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed by the seashore. I'm going to show you a map of where Gerasenes is told to us is located, where it's supposed to be located in Palestine. Now, as you see in this map, this place is nowhere near a sea. It's also important to note that it says inside of scripture that Yahusha had went to another region. The word for region inside of Greek is Kora, and this word actually means a different country. Not only that, the word for sea is thalassa. Thalassa only means sea. It does not mean anything else. In fact, thalassa is actually embodied by a Greek goddess with a similar name. So that lets you know that the text unequivocally is pointing to a sea. Now, biblical scholars have recognized that this does not match the geography of Palestine. So in order to change the geography, as they have many times, they have attributed the word sea to the Jordan River. Now, we should understand any other time where the Jordan River is referenced inside of scripture.
She got another scripture. She got another video said, don't trust the Bible scholars. She say biblical scholars. And I love when they say that, but don't never mention none.
Word is used, patamos. Patamos is the Greek word for rivers, including the Jordan River. So they are doing what they often do, changing the geography using different words whenever it is a complement to what they're trying to say. But if we take the text that it's actually saying, what it's actually saying at face value, what we're getting is that Yahusha essentially crossed a sea to get.
Do she have evidence that they normally change stuff around to complement? Do she have evidence for that? We're living in an age you could tell anybody anything.
To the region of Gerasenes, not cross the river. Now keep that in mind, and we're going to go to an article. So this is an article that I cite in the book Conspiracy to Erase a Nation. It is Mark, speaking about the Gospel of Mark. Fell geography, but great Bible student. This is by Neil Godfrey. He explains what is truly a discrepancy in the geography inside of the book of Mark. Now, this is essential. This is very essential for you to understand, because Mark, it is widely believed, is the first gospel to have ever been written. And my belief is Mark and probably Matthew were originally written inside of Hebrew. So Mark was the first book of the gospel to originally be written by most people's belief. And he is saying inside of this article that Mark jacked up the geography if you actually look at Palestine. This is an important part to emphasize. So let's go through here. Much has been said about Mark's poor knowledge of the geography of Palestine. A classic case is his bizarre itinerary for Yahusha leaving Tyre to go north and then southeast and then back east again to reach his final destination. On the map here, locate Tyre. Run your finger north to Sidon, then let it wander to the right downwards till it reaches the Decapolis, then zero up to the Lake of Galilee. That is the route that the Gospel of Mark says Yahusha took in order to get from Tyre to the Sea of Galilee. Yahusha's travel agent must have been offering a super bargain, or Mark had little real knowledge of the geography of the area. Again, this is significant because Mark is believed to be the first gospel written, one which many of the other gospels used as a direct reference whenever they were composing their gospels. So if Mark didn't know the geography.
So if Mark didn't know the geography, it fits what other people are saying. He was a European that wrote later on just to create a gospel to fool y'all by the Romans. She's feeding into that.
Then how are we to know if anyone had the geography right?
So so the New Testament's in doubt. These weren't even real Hebrew Israelites.
So the problem is that they have mislocated Tyre and Sidon, or misnamed it inside of the scripture. We know this because of the fact of this discrepancy, and because if you actually read the Old Testament, it will tell you a lot more about where Sidon is and where Tyre is. Okay, so listen to Genesis 49:13. It states, Zebulun will reside at the seashore, and he will be a harbor for ships, and his flank shall be towards Sidon. Isaiah 23:1-8 reads of Tyre and Sidon, well, you ships of Tarshish, for Tyre is destroyed without house or harbor. It is reported to them from the land of Cyprus. Be silent, you inhabitants of the coastland, you merchants of Sidon. Your messengers crossed the sea and were on many waters. The grain of the Nile, the harvest of the river were her revenue, and she was the market of nations. Be ashamed, Sidon, for the sea speaks, the stronghold of the sea, saying, I have neither brought up young men nor raised virgins. When the report reaches Egypt, they will be in anguish over the report of Tyre. Pass over to Tarshish, well, you inhabitants of the coast.
Why would she use a mythicist? So it sounds like Russell Higgins believed this. He said, why would they pick Uganda first when they were throwing around names before Palestine? So you agree we don't know where it is. They were just looking for land and they just made it Palestine. I just want to know how they backpedal at archaeological sites. Even to the time of Islam with them. This is heavy. This is heavy.
Land. Is this your jubilant city, whose origin is from antiquity, whose feet used to bring her to colonize distant places? Who has planned this against Tyre, the bestower of crowns, whose merchants were princes, whose traders were the honored of the earth? You should get the point pretty clearly from scripture. Tyre and Sidon were both maritime cities, and we know that they were close to Zebulun. Zebulun, if you look at the descriptions, would have been, I believe, around Djibouti, modern day Djibouti. And I believe Tyre and Sidon would actually be inside of modern day Somaliland. Now, there is actually a confirmation of this, a really good one. And when I found it, I was very excited because there's so much in scripture that we don't appreciate because you have to take time to directly reference the geography. Ezekiel 27:3 states, and say to Tyre, who sits at the entrance to the sea, merchant of the peoples to many coastlands. Now Tyre sits at the entrance of the sea. I want you to look at this map right here. This is supposedly Tyre and Sidon, right? This is the one inside of Arabia. Do they sit at the entrance of the sea? No, there is no entrance of a sea when you look at where Tyre and Sidon are located. However, look over here. This is East Africa. This is Somaliland. If you look, does Somaliland sit at the entrance of the sea? Absolutely, it does. I gave two very strong possibilities of the cities of Tyre and Sidon inside of the book. One, I believe, could be Zelia and also Berbera. These were both really prominent maritime cities inside of the region. They traded with the nations, as the scripture says. They were basically very well known throughout the region, and many nations, even up to the Greeks, all of them were aware of Tyre and of Berbera and Zelia. Now, what this means, though, is that Yahusha did not travel across the Jordan River. Therefore, him going to Tyre and Sidon and then going to Djibouti and then crossing the Gulf of Aden actually does make geographical sense, unlike what we read or what we
Stop right there. No, I have to stop right here. Let me stop that right there. I want to show y'all something else. Very interesting stuff. Very, very interesting. Look at this. I got to click on one. We only 38 minutes. And I said, give me 60 minutes because we were already on. Does the Romans really rule Judea? The converts who founded Judaism. How Judaism really came to Palestine. Oh man, we got some of this, Jordan. This might be able to help us.
Greetings, family. Welcome to the Conspiracy to Erase a Nation segment. I wanted to just give you a heads up that this, again, will be an edited version of this lecture. The reason
is. I just use a few words that I would take out for the context of YouTube. But just to let you know what this exact lecture is on in totality, since I will be taking a part of the introduction out, is this lecture will be on what happens with the people who claim that they are the Hebrews, the people who we know today as the Ish people, the people who are in the supposed land as we speak. Well, how did those people get to that land? How did they go from a religion that originated in Africa being the religion that is probably most associated with Palestine? So we're going to talk about that. And I just wanted to give you a heads up that it's going to be edited. But if you want to watch the full version without any edits, you can go to my Telegram. Link is in the description. Click the link. It will take you right to the application. Very easy to download. But with that, let's get started. Greetings, family. Welcome to the African Exodus Show. I'm your host, Tierney Cherie, here to you with a new video. This is the segment Conspiracy to Erase a Nation, dealing with the book that I wrote that is available on Amazon.com. Only $15.99 for the print, $9.99 for the Kindle version. And so we're going to talk about the next segment of this discussion of the true Yasharel. We're going to go into Palestine now. Last time we dealt with the Edomites, who they were, where they originated. They originated again inside of what would be modern day Sudan. So then we also spoke about the fact that the Edomites eventually went into Arabia. And I used a number of scriptures to show that to you. So if you did not see that previous presentation, I think it's very helpful in order to understand this next leg of the presentation. So now we know that the Edomites did in fact go into Arabia. There was a group known as the Manaeans. These are people who originally were from a South Arabian kingdom called Maine. This kingdom was eclipsed by Saba, who many of you might associate with that region. And also they gradually would make their way north into the Levant and also into Palestine. So in Jordan, the Manaeans actually founded a city known as Man. Man obviously sounds like Timan. Timan, as we dealt with, is one of the original clans that come from the Edomites. Now, it's been opined that Man is actually the city that has been identified by different people of that region as Timan. Two people in particular, you have Eusebius of Caesarea and also the Catholic saint, Saint Jerome. So like many Arabians of that time, the Manaeans were very much into the spice trade, and that is actually where they are noted to have entered into Palestine. It was Ptolemy, son of Ptolemy, who dated the Manaeans entering into Palestine to around 263 BCE, when the trade of incense between the Germanes and the Manaeans was in Syria, Palestine. From there, the Manaeans become associated with a new group known as the Nazarenes inside of Palestine. So Jerome, the Catholic saint, spoke about the Nazarenes. He said that until now, a heresy is to be found in all the synagogues of the East among the Jews. It is called of the Manaeans and is cursed by the Philistines until now. Usually they are called Nazarenes. Until today they blaspheme the Christian people in their synagogues under the name of Nazarenes. They curse him, Hamashiach, 3 times a day in their synagogues under the name of Nazarenes. So this tells us right here that the Nazarenes, who were Manaeans, basically became associated as being Jewish Christians. How did that happen? So we're going to go through a number of other different beliefs that are all related. I know this is going to be a lot of information thrown at you. Please pause, do a Google search if you need to take some more time to digest, or just go back to the video in segments, because we're going to be moving very quickly through a long swift of history. So we're talking about the Sabians. The Sabians of Haran. This is a group that is known throughout the region, was known throughout the region. It has been referenced many times by different people in history, including a number of people inside of Islam have noted the Sabians of Haran. Now, something is very significant about the Sabians of Haran. While they were a polytheist group, and they are said to have originated in Haran in Turkey, they also were known to be people of the book. So again, they worship the god Shemesh, the sun god. They worship Sin, the moon god. They worship Saturn. They worship Jupiter. They worship Mars, Venus, and Mercury. But at the same time, they were identified themselves as being people of the book, followers of Torah. In addition, some people have also noted that the Sabians seem to originate from a group of exiled Hebrews. Do I know if they were true Hebrews? I don't know. But a group that at least identified themselves as being exiled Hebrews who were inside of the Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar. And essentially, this group becomes exposed to Zoroastrianism, another religion that you should all know about. The reason you should know Zoroastrianism, because you will see throughout Christianity and also Judaism, a lot of the understandings that are common to people come from, not from the Torah, not from the Bible, but come from Zoroastrianism. So Zoroastrianism is a religion that was established by a Persian prophet. His name was Zoroaster. It was established between 1500 and also 1000 BCE. It is a monotheistic religion, okay? Although it's also dualistic, and it has a lot of beliefs from astrology inside of it. So remember all of this different information: Zoroastrianism, remember the Sabians of Haran, remember the Nazarenes of the Manaeans. We're going to talk about another group that comes out of Palestine, known as the Mandeans. So the Mandeans are very closely associated with the Sabians of Haran. They also regard Haran as being their celestial homeland. Coincidence, maybe. But they also established a very strong presence inside of Palestine, where they were known to be absorbed into Judaism and Jewish Christianity. So the interesting thing about the Mandeans is that they also believed in one God, one Elohim. However, they did not believe in Yahuwah. So they also, interestingly enough, they also carried a number of beliefs from Zoroastrianism. So I'm reading from the Mandean Association Union, which summarizes their dualistic beliefs. The Mandean worldview is stamped by Gnostic dualism. A world of light and a world of darkness exist in mutual hostility. The world of light is a world of light and brilliance and goodness and truth and eternity without death. Hitting the world of light is a sublime being, the king of light, life, or high. Countless number of beings or angels surround this God. The world of darkness is a similar construction to the world of light, but it stems originally from the chaos of dark waters. The dark world is full of evil and falsehood. Hostile relations between light and darkness, life and death, good and evil have always existed. These relations led to the creation of the earthly world. Earth was created as a result of joint actions from darkness and light. Basically, it was an evil act with interference by the world of light to tilt the balance in its favor. Now, here's something that could also be possibly a coincidence, maybe, maybe not. The Mandeans also had a certain sect called the Nazarenes, and this was the sect that was basically practicers of Gnosticism. Again, to remind you, the Manaeans, who came from Maine, came from Arabia, also had a sect in Palestine known as the Nazarenes. Now let's talk about the Mandean Nazarenes. Their Nazarenes is known to mean to keep. Again, they were keepers of Gnosticism, Gnosis. So according to the historian Epiphanius, inside of the Panorion of Epiphanius of Salamis, Book 1, Section 18, Nazarenes were Jews by nationality, originally from Gileadites, Bashanites, and from the Transjordan. They acknowledged Moses and believed that he had received laws. Not this law, however, but some other. And so they were Jews who kept all the Jewish observances, but they would not offer sacrifice or eat meat. They considered it unlawful to eat meat or make sacrifices with it. They claimed that these books are fictions and that none of these customs were instituted by the fathers. This was the difference between the Nazarenes and the others. So again, let's go back to the similarities that we've seen. Manaeans have a Nazarenes. They are Jewish Christians. Mandeans have a Nazarene. They identify themselves as Jewish practicers originally, right? Here's the very interesting thing. If you actually go through Mandean texts, it says that they originally worshipped the Elohim of the Bible, or the Elohim of the Yahudim, that they actually originally worshipped the same one as Judaism. According to the Mandeans, essentially the people who practiced Judaism became corrupted by their teachings, and they are the ones who are practicing their faith rightfully. So how does this all tie in and come together? Well, essentially what I lay out inside of the book Conspiracy to Erase a Nation is that Judaism originates from Mandeanism. You have people who are adherents to the Torah, brought the Torah from where it originates from in East Africa, and brought it into Palestine. From there, mixing it with a number of beliefs such as Zoroastrianism. This group, which branches off from the Mandaeans, become what we know today as Judaism. So what I'm going to show you next time that we do this segment is I'm going to show you a proof that not only did the Mandaeans basically, are they the original people who become Judaism, but they themselves recognize and agree that they are not the original Hebrews, but they were actually converts to the faith. So that will be next time, but thank you all for watching. And
all right, she said that'll be next time. Let me see what else she have here. Stop trusting the well, maybe she have a reason. Let's just see. She said stop. Listen to no.
Outside of YouTube, best place to send me a message. You can go to my description, click on the Telegram link, and it'll take you right to the app to download. Also, if you want to support this channel, you can do so two ways. You can do so through Cash App, and also you can do so through Patreon. There, in addition, I post weekly exclusives just for you. This will be a very quick video, follow up to the previous video I just did, 100% proof that Palestine is not the Holy Land. So I wanted to do a follow-up because I think a lot of our people get confused when it comes to scholars, biblical scholars, Jewish scholars, people who tell us the history of the Bible. Now, what I have discovered doing my own research, what I've discovered reading the Bible and trying to listen to different people, different voices, because the conspiracy to erase the true Bible, the true people of the Bible, because the conspiracy to erase the true significance of the region where the Bible originates, because of the conspiracy to control the narrative around the Bible, I want you to all know that you cannot trust anything outside of the Bible when it comes to trying to understand or study the Bible. This is important, particularly if you are a seminary student. You might think that you're going to get a degree that makes you qualified to argue the Bible. But if you're being taught things from people who are lying about who they are, about
I think that's part of the agenda. Shoot down school where you can learn the difference, how to research primary, what's important, and somebody to steer you in the direction of research. They're speaking against it. The main people that can criticize, the main education that can help you criticize and think critically and logically through this nonsense. That's so interesting.
About where they come from, lying about who the people really are of the Bible. If you're lying about the culture of the people of the Bible, if you're lying about the practices of the people of the Bible, if you're lying about what language is Hebrew or what language is not Hebrew, if you're lying about all of that.
That's where the beef come in. Just find the Hebrew New Testament for us. Not one that was backpedaled or back translated from the Greek. Just find it for us. This is revisionist history at its finest, but it's mixed with racism. That's what makes it extremely dangerous.
And maybe you're not lying. Maybe you're just regurgitating what someone else lied about. If you're doing that, you're not an expert on anything, which should not be a surprise. I mean, Yah told us that we should not regard ourselves as experts. We should not regard ourselves as qualified when it comes to his word. Look to him. He is the
What verse is saying this? Which translation is saying this?
One, the source of all knowledge, the source of all truth. If he reveals it to you, it's because he wills to reveal it to you. He certainly has not revealed it.
Oh, yeah, that's that Hebrew roots. The spirit ain't told you. You ain't had enough faith. Yep, that's cult 101. It ain't been revealed to you yet. You're not deep enough pressing into the spirit nonsense.
Everything to everyone. Many of us are in the dark on many subjects. We live by his grace as far as what we do know and what we are able to uncover. So as outside of this book right here, this is the Septuagint, but I'll say the Septuagint along with the mainstream Masoretic text, right? Outside of the Bible, anyone who wants to tell you anything, you should not believe them. And you can even add on a Bible concordance. You can add on a Bible dictionary. Outside of those dictionaries, concordances, anything that allows you to check the meanings and check it and analyze it, even understanding that these were compiled by humans who were fallible, that these books were translated by humans who were fallible in their translations. And so who's the ultimate one to go to? the Most High. He's the only one that can tell you the truth. Do not lean on mainstream thought, mainstream feelings, because it's all been funneled through this idea that the world is a certain way, that certain people are the authentic creators of this book right here. So I also want to just talk about the fact that some people I think are genuinely just don't want to believe certain things. Some people genuinely don't want to believe who the real Hebrews are. Some people genuinely don't want to believe that Palestine is not Yasharel. Other people, I think, who might even be in the Hebrew Israelite movement, struggle with things like saying that the real Yasharel was in East Africa, not because they trust mainstream opinion, but some people, and this is not most, I would say a small percentage of people, some people do not want to deal with the reality that the Bible is literally African, that the people of the Bible are African, that if you come from those people, you're African. For that, I would say to you, always consider, who do you think made you hate your Africanness? Africa is a continent, right? This is not an identity that has always existed. It's a way to label a certain continent, a certain region. I'm not even attached to these words. I mean, because if you think about it, doesn't mean you're black or white. There's people who are from North Africa that don't look anything like us, right? But the idea that I want to be Shemitic, and Shemitic is Arabian. And I told you Shemitic is not Arabian, but let's pretend it is. That's what some people cling to. They don't want to be something that they've been taught to hate. So always question, who taught me to hate myself? Who taught me to hate a continent? Who taught me to not want to be associated with a continent? Who taught me that this continent is backwards? Who taught me that these people are ugly? Who taught me these things? It's the same people who want to control the narrative. So that is a short video, just because, again, I notice a lot of people who are so trusting of the narrative given to us by scholars and people who have qualified themselves in the eyes of men, because that's all a degree is. It does not mean you're smarter, does not mean you're more educated on things. It just means that you're qualified in the eyes of men. You get to have a certain thing by your name that says, I can say, well, that I'm an authority. There's only one.
But the thing is hurtful. If her mama needed a heart transplant, she'll want to go to somebody that specializes in triple byplants, transplants. If her people had cancer, she would look on the internet and she would go to Cancer Sloan Kettering. She would go to the top cancer research centers on the planet if she had the money and the insurance. Why would you do that with everything else? She had 100,000. She wouldn't want to buy one of the top German imports. Why would you do that with everything else? She would look at reviews on the Benz, the new BMW. She would look at reviews on the Lamborghini truck. That's why I don't like y'all. And y'all would run to them folk. You don't care about their color, if their eyes are small, if they're blue-eyed, if they got the best European imports. She would jump on it and spend that bread. But when it comes to that religion, just spook y'all out. Throw a stick on the ground and start speaking in another language. Y'all want to be spooked out. Get some powder and throw it in the air.
Authority. The only authority is
Shutting this down.
Go to him. Read this Bible. Read Septuagint. Good comparison. Read this one. Get you the scriptures that are hidden, the scriptures that are taken out of the Bible. Get you the book of Jubilees, the book of Second Ezra.
All that was hidden. The white folk gave y'all all that. White Freemason went and got Enoch and brought it back here to America. Come on, talk to me where Thomas come from. All this hidden stuff that y'all got. Who it come from? This is a mess.
Judith, the book of Tobit, get you the book of Enoch, get you the real scriptures, get you a Bible dictionary, get you a Bible concordance.
You're right, there's more than that.
Use these as the authority. Anything outside of that, do not consider it an authority. You can use it to learn as a secondary or even a third source, but not as the main source. So that's really all I have for this video. I thank you all for watching, and y'all willing, I'll see you in
verse 37. It says, the children of
all right, y'all, that's it. I'm gonna shut it down. He said Elder Green was on. I'm gonna try to see if I got to go read up on this here. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Then I start bothering my friends. Let me see. Let me see if Elder Green talking here, because I'm telling you, this ain't right.
And that's the first place that a
of it is right.
The word Hebrew is mentioned.
Sister D, you at work?
Abraham's family came from Israel. I'll say it again.
All right,
You
let's
can't
see,
have
let's see if he get us
his
back in
name being
Israel. Let's
changed
see
to
where
Israel
Elder
right
get
here,
us.
from Jacob to Israel, and make a claim that
Okay, look at your jack. And where's Elder?
Abraham came from an Israelite line.
Oh, please, Elder, clean this
Or
all
Abraham
up.
came from an
Clean
Israelite
it up,
background.
Elder.
No, that ain't no word. Jacob's name is changed to Israel right here. And this takes place, let me see. Look at something, Genesis 14. Let's get a timestamp here. It's 10:32:28. I'm about to say how many years apart is this. Okay, 14, 13. Let me see something. 14, 13. Okay. You're looking at about, let's see. Shabbat Shalom. Here's a Colleen Joseph. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. So you're looking at from the time of Abraham being called a Hebrew in Genesis 14, 13. That takes place around about 1891 BC. So that takes place about Shabbat Shalom to David. Good to see you. That takes place about 1891 BC. So Abraham is being called a Hebrew around about 1891 BC. Do the math. Watch this. We're gonna do some math here. Timestamp. Abraham is being called a Hebrew in 1891 BC. Okay, 1891 BC, he's being called a Hebrew. Okay, now, Jacob's name is changed. Jacob's name is changed to Israel. Let's see. Genesis 32. That takes place in about 1716. 1716 BC. So Abraham is called a Hebrew in 1891 BC. Abraham is called a Hebrew in 1891 BC. Okay, BC means y'all don't know before Christ. And Jacob's name is changed from Jacob to Israel in 1716 BC. Look how many years different that is. That's 1, 7, 7, 5. That's about 175 years later. 175 years later. Let's do the math. 175 years later, Jacob is born. And his name is changed to Israel. His grandfather, great-grandfather, father before him, Abraham, was called a Hebrew 175 years before. It's 175 years in between Abraham being called a Hebrew and Jacob's name being changed to Israel. 175 years between. So there's no way you can have Abraham some kind of way being an Israelite when you don't have the Israelite subject or being mentioned until about 175 years later. Type of one that makes sense. Y'all follow me? Type of one that makes sense. 175 years from Abraham being called a Hebrew, Jacob's name is being changed to Israel. 175 years later. So I don't know who is trying to think of. I don't know who is trying to sound Abraham. See, what's happening is somebody trying to go and Israelize the whole Bible. They try to make Adam an Israelite. It will never happen. Trying to make Noah an Israelite. It will never happen. Melchizedek an Israelite. It will never happen. No. It's sad. So we have Abram being called a Hebrew. We have Jacob name being changed to Israel 175 years later. Now let's look at when the first time the word Jew is mentioned. Here we go. So now let's talk about the Israel part first a little bit. Okay? So the Israel part. So we know Abraham had Isaac. So that means that Isaac was a Hebrew. You can't even make Isaac an Israelite. You can't do that. You can't make Isaac a Jew. You can't make Isaac an Israelite. You can't make Isaac a Jew. You can't do that. And be scripture correct. You can say that Isaac is a Hebrew, just like Abraham is a Hebrew. Now you got Jacob. So Abraham had Isaac, Isaac had Jacob. So now Jacob is a Hebrew. Jacob is a Hebrew. Now, Jacob's name will change to Israel. Change to Israel. So I guess you can call Jacob an Israelite. I guess you can call him an Israelite because his name will change to Israel. So you can safely give yourself some cushion with calling Jacob an Israelite because his name will change to Israelite to Israel. I guess you can safely do that if you want to, for those that want to do that. But you can't call Abraham. You can't call Isaac that. You can't call Abraham a Jew. You can't call Isaac a Jew. You can't call Abraham an Israelite. You can't call Isaac an Israelite. You can't do that. The first one you see called Israelite is Jacob. His name will change to Israel. So now, that rules out Abraham being called an Israelite. That rules out Abraham being called a Jew. That rules out Isaac being called a because you can't put the cart before the horse. So you can't call Isaac a Jew or Israelite because he wasn't. Because Isaac and then came Jacob. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So now the Israelite subject, the Israelite word came about with Jacob. The Israelite, the 12 tribes of Israel, came about with Jacob, not with Abraham, and not with Isaac. So that's why you can't even call them two Jew or Israel. Now, talking about Jacob now. Jacob had 12 sons. Now you're getting to the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob Isaac wasn't part of that tribe. Abraham wasn't part of that tribe. Abraham wasn't part of neither one of them 12 sons. Isaac wasn't part of neither one of them 12 sons. Jacob himself wasn't part of neither one of them 12 tribes. Everybody said if you want to, you can call him one. If you feel comfortable. I mean, either way. Because his name would change to Israel. But he had 12 sons. And these make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Abraham only know 12 tribes. So you can't call him Israel. Isaac only know 12 tribes. You can't call him Israel. So now let's talk about the word Jew. Because I believe that the word Jew comes from that one particular tribe, Judah. Judah, which is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. I'm going to tell you why I believe it came from that in a minute. But the word Jew, I believe, is short for Yehudi or Yehudian, Judah. That's the Hebrew word for Jew. I mean, for Judah, tribe of Judah, Yehudian, Judah. I believe the word Jew comes from that tribe, and I have a reason why I believe that. But now let's go in the Bible, see when the first time the word Jew is mentioned. All these the same people, though. See? All these the same people. Because as soon as Isaac is born, Isaac is a Hebrew. As soon as Jacob is born, Jacob is a Hebrew. All of them are Hebrews. Then Jacob had 12 sons. All of them 12 sons were Hebrews. But now their father's name is Israel. So now they are not Hebrews only, but they're Israelites. See? I'm going to say it one more again. Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had Jacob. Jacob was a Hebrew because his father, grandfather, so forth were Hebrews. Okay? Now that he come on the scene, Jacob, he's not only a Hebrew, but now his name is changed to Israel, so you can call him Israelite if you want to. But he had these 12 sons who are Israelites because their daddy was an Israelite. So now that makes these 12 sons Israelites as well as Hebrews. Israelites as well as Hebrews. But now let's look at the subject of Jew. Let's go to the Jew mentioned first. Okay, I'm gonna need your help with this one. Try to find where the first mention of Jew is at. Because you probably can find it in the plural or in the singular. I'm trying to make sure I get it. Let's see here. I see Jew, 2 Kings. Let me see. 2 Kings. Well, I'm gonna see if it's in the singular Jew. Jew. I see Esther. So I gotta see which one comes from Esther or let's see which one comes first. Either way. We can either deal with Esther. Let me see. Esther 2 and 5. Esther 2 and 5. Or let me see. Look for the word Jews, plural. Sometimes may be in the plural. Let's get 2 Kings. 2 Kings 16 and 6. So let's go to Esther Hold on, let me see something. Hold on. Let me do it like this. Let me take my time and do it like this here. Esther 2 and 5. Now look at the word Jew. Now, as we go into this part here, we're going to tie it all up. We're going to tie it all together in New Testament. It's going to all tie together when we get to New Testament. We're going to have the New Testament scriptures as well. But let me see. I'm trying to see which one comes first. Because the Bible not in chronological order. I'm trying to see if 2 Kings come before Esther chapter 2. Because the Bible not in chronological order. I know 2 Kings come first in the traditional Bible. So I'm trying to see if I don't want to lose nobody with all this. But, let me see. 2 Kings 16 and 6. 2 Kings 16 and 6. 2 Kings 16. Come on. Are you serious? Look like I'm gonna have to wing it on this one here. I'm trying to find. Hold on, let me see something. Let me go back here. Let me do it like this. Let me do it like this. Let me go ahead and cheat a little bit. We ain't cheating. 2 Kings 16 6. 2 Kings 16 6. It's going to be 485, 845, 852, 853, 845. I'm trying to see what order Esther is versus 2 Kings. That's what I'm trying to do. As I look for the word Jew. 2 Kings 845, 845, 16, 6. Mm-hmm. 16, 6. Hold on. 83. 890. Let's see. Let's try 890. You're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. It's 16, 16. Eight 17. What's 817? I missed something. 8. Yeah. Huh? No. What I'm trying to do, okay, I'm trying to make sure that I find out where in the scriptures the word Jew or Jews is mentioned. See, the Bible not in chronological order. See, right now I'm in my Reach Chronological Bible trying to see. I know it's going to be either Esther 2 and 5 or Second Kings 16 and 6. I'm trying to make sure that which one comes first. So what I'm trying to do is, I know it's going to be more likely going to be either Esther 2 and 5, or it's going to be 2 Kings 16 and 6. But I want to make sure which one comes first, because I know the Bible not in chronological order. I just want to be on the safe side and do that. So I'm looking at my Reach Chronological Bible to see if I can find where that order. (16 and 6). That ain't it either. Let me see. Hold on. 862. 862. Nope, ain't it either. 861. Ain't it either. 861. 858. 16 and 6. I'm following. 3. We gonna track it down. We're gonna track it down. Three. Isaiah. Okay. All right. The Jews. Yehudi. Yes, I'm with that. Okay. So 2 Kings 16 and 6, that's taking place in 732 BC. 732 BC. 732 BC. 732 BC. Okay. So let's find Esther. Find Esther here. I know some of y'all are going to sleep on me. But this is how you do this stuff, man. This is how you do it. Esther 2 and 5. That's 1023. Let's see, 1023. 1023. I look at that right. Hold on, what am I doing? What am I doing? Esther. Y'all bear with me for a minute. I'm gonna land this plane in a minute. Y'all bear with me for a minute. I just want to make sure that I got this date right. Esther. 1026. 1200. 1026, 1200. 1026, 1200. Okay. 1026, 1200. That's the 2 and 5. Okay. So looking like Amen. Hey, man, see, I'm trying to make sure I get this date right. You know the Bible, see, and this is I'm gonna say this openly because I done said it on Berean more than one time. This is how they make a mistake a lot of times with some of the ones that come on Berean, because they don't remember the Bible not in chronological order. The Bible not in chronological order. So I'm trying to be careful right now when I get it. When I look at this first time the word Jew is mentioned in the Bible, I see it's going to be looking like it's going to be 2 Kings though, but Esther 2 and 5. I'm about to land this plane in a minute, y'all. I knew this was going to be an interesting one here. Esther 2 and yes, okay. That's like 483. Okay. Okay, so yeah, 483 BC. 483 BC. Okay. So yeah, so look like the first time the word Jew is mentioned or Jews is mentioned. I could be off on this, but I'm kind of rushing. Be around in 2 Kings, somewhere up in there, for the word Jew or Jews, and that's about 732 BC. So that's so I'm gonna put up here Jew, 2 Kings. I'm looking at this plane in a minute, y'all. Second Kings 16:6. Okay, now. Now this way it get interesting here. 2 Kings 16:6. And I have that date here is around about 732 BC. Now, so we see that they was being called Hebrew. Abraham was called Hebrew way back. I didn't even write the date down. It's a long ago now. In Genesis, I got it right here. Abraham was called a Hebrew, like about 1891 BC. They're like Jacob's name would change to Israel, if I remember correctly, 1716 BC, 175 years later. And Israelites being called Jews around about 732 BC. That's almost 1,000 years later. That's almost 1,000 years later from when Jacob's name was changed to Israel. About 1,000 years later, give or take, is when the Israelites began to be called Jews. Now, the reason why I believe they began to be called Jews, certain ones from the tribe of Judah, not that they was all from the tribe of Judah, I believe they began to be called Jews, all the 12 Israelites, 12 tribes of Israel, that remain faithful to God. That remain faithful to God. I believe, and I believe Judah to be the main one out of the 12. Well, watch how I word this. I believe Judah to be the main one out of the 12 that remain faithful to God, and all the diasporas, all the diasporas, the exiles, whatever. I believe that Judah was the one that remained faithful to God more so than all the other 12. Now, if you look at the dates around on 700 something BC, and they started to be called Jews, then we got to ask ourselves, what's taking place now during this time frame? What's taking place during this time frame? So that's when we look into what's going on. And I don't want to take too much more time up, but my conclusion was, and I've looked into this some years ago, that through all the diasporas, all the persecution, through all the exiles, whatever that the Israelites experienced, Judah, looking at this date and time, almost 700 something BC, give or take, they remained the most faithful out of all the Israelites. They remained the most faithful out of all the Israelites. And because of their faithfulness, and because of their faithfulness to Yahweh, to his Torah, even in exile, I believe, from my understanding, that they begin to be elevated to the point of they would be their tribal name, Judah, Jew, short Jew, will represent all faithful Israelites from then forward. It's like they got elevated in status because of their faithfulness in hard times, because of their faithfulness in persecution, because of their faithfulness in exile, and so forth, so forth. They got elevated to the status of representing all faithful Israelites. So that means any other Israelites from all the other 12 tribes that remain faithful. Good to see you, Nicholas. I've spoken Shabbat Shalom. Any other children of Israel, even though they're from another tribe, if they remain faithful to God, to God's Torah, they begin to be called Judah or Jew, because Judah was elevated to represent all faithful Israelites. I'm going to say it one more time. I believe the way the word Jew come on the scene is from the tribe of Judah, and that's because they came on the scene, they were born way back with their dad having them, but the tribe of Judah, being faithful to Yahweh, to his Torah, in exile, outside of exile, if you look at the date, they begin to be called Jews around about 700 something BC. Gotta look at what's going on at the time, okay? Because of the persecution, because of the exile, so forth, so forth, so forth, they begin to be called Jews, just short for Judah. That's all it is. It's just short for Judah. And they begin to be the representative, or all the 12 tribes of Israel that was faithful to God. They begin to come under that name Jew because of Judah's faithfulness. So in regular layman's talk, it's like this, in my understanding. Could be wrong. When everybody was going buck wild, and everybody was, I'm talking about Israel, was not living for God, was not being faithful to God and his Torah, the tribe of Judah remained the most faithful one of them all. The tribe of Judah, Yehuda, Judah, remained the most faithful of them all. And because of that, I believe, from what I've studied, God elevated them to the position of all faithful Israelites, no matter what tribe they come from. If they return and be faithful to God and his Torah, they come under this word Judah or Jew, because they're faithful to God, to his Torah. So now, This is why we see Paul in the New Testament. Paul is letting it be known that he is a Jew. But at the same time, we see Paul saying he's of the tribe of Benjamin. Huh? So what's going on there? He's directly from the tribe of Benjamin. That's one of the sons. But he's letting it be known he's a Jew. So what is he saying? He's saying his direct tribal link is Benjamin, but he's a Jew because he's faithful to Torah. He's faithful to Torah. That's why you go in the land of Israel. I've been there. You go in the land of Israel, they will tell you, someone will tell you, I'm not a Jew. Talking about them. They'll say they are an Israeli. They'll say they are an Israeli, but they're not a Jew. What are they saying? They're saying that they are an Israeli because they were born in the land. But they're not a Jew because they're not faithful to Torah. They're not faithful to Torah. But they are an Israeli because they were born in the land. But to answer your question, let's go there. Let's go there. I know it's a long answer, Pastor Tyler. I hope you're still listening. Hope this is a long answer, but let's go here. Let's go to Acts 21. Let's go to Acts 21. Now, like I said, the word Jew is the same family line. The Jew is a Hebrew. The Jew is an Israelite. Period. The Jew is an Israelite. The Jew is a Hebrew. But like I said, when it came to happen in modern day time in the land of Israel, some would tell you that they're not a Jew. And I'm talking about the physical land. I mean, even talking the light bottle, brown, whatever bottle. They'll say they're not a Jew because they're not faithful to Torah, but they say they're Israeli. That means that they're Hebrew, they're Israeli, but they understand that word Jew means faithful to Torah. How do you do more teaching about Jews than Hebrews? Huh? Who that? Somebody said that you do more teaching about Jews and Hebrews than you do Jesus. I don't know who that is right there. Somebody can answer that for me. So somebody in the chat, somebody please for me. Somebody in the chat, please respond to that right there. I don't know who they got me mixed up with somebody else. Somebody please do me a favor. Somebody please do me a favor. Somebody please do me a favor and respond to that. Cause I don't know who that is right there. They must be their first time tuning in this show. But that right there. Oh, Sinbad. Who's Sinbad? Okay. Well, okay. I'm glad you corrected that. Cause yeah. Who's Sinbad? Who's that? I don't know who Sinbad is. But I'm glad you had to mix. I'm glad you knew. Oh, a new person. Okay. Yeah, cause they know they know how we roll over here. But yeah, so now let's go to but keep that in mind. Is a comedian. Oh, shaking my head. Okay, all right. Thank you, man. Cause that, y'all know that they're about to send me on a trip right there. I don't know who that was, but anyhow. So now, let's go to now. Look at what Paul is saying here. Let's go to Acts 21. Now I know to get the whole context, it's best to read the whole chapter. But for the sake of just what I'm trying to deal with now, let's go to Acts 21:39. But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus. Okay. And if you look into the Greek there, you're going to see it's going to connect you back to Judah. Easy look right there. It's going to connect you back to the Hebrew Judah. Let's fact check myself on that too. But Paul says, I am a man which am a Jew. Levi. We were taught that the northern tribes were made up of Judah, Benjamin, and half of the tribe of Levi, but were called the tribe of Judah. Well, you said northern tribe. You tell them, okay. In the diaspora exile, the northern tribes. I'm trying to follow your point there. You know that a lot of the tribes, once they got the okay to come back, a lot of the tribes returned. The greater portion was Judah. But not only Judah returned. We know that, right? We know when they got after the 70-year captivity, they were able to return back to the land, and it was some of all the tribes returning. We know that, right? That's why we have right here. We have right here, and we're gonna look at another one. So remember, keep in mind when they got a chance to return, a whole lot of the tribes accompanied them in the return back. But my point I'm trying to bring out here is that no matter what tribe they were from, okay, here we go. I'm gonna hang on here. Just a second, watch this. I'm gonna show you. But Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. I don't want to deal on that part. No, I just got an egg. I got an egg right here. I got an egg back there, and it just sits like that. But yeah, some people do got in the middle here something that's sticky right there, and it sticks right there, and you stick it there. Some people, I know you're talking about, but no, I don't use that. I just got a little slope right there. Mine just sit back there like a nice little seat. Okay, but Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew, keyword, of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. So he's calling himself a Jew. Almost made that note. I know we've seen this verse many times. We took some time together tonight. He's calling himself a Jew right here. But now let's watch this. Let's go to Philippians 3. So now, Paul just called himself a Jew in Acts. And watch what Paul says here. Philippians chapter 3. See, Paul ain't got no problem calling himself a Jew or Hebrew or an Israelite. He had a problem calling himself a Jew, a Hebrew, or Israelite. Why? Because they're all the same. Watch this. Philippians chapter 3, verse 5. This is Paul. Circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel. See? He had a problem calling himself an Israelite. Israel. He just called himself a Jew back then in the book of Acts. He calls himself an Israel right here, of the tribe of Benjamin. And Hebrew, of Hebrews. So Paul said, look, I am a Jew, meaning I'm faithful to Torah, I'm faithful to God, faithful to God. I am an Israelite, Abraham's seed. I'm just putting that in there. I'm just putting this in there. Of the tribe of a nation of Israel, of the tribe specifically of Benjamin. Now, remember now, Benjamin, if you go back and look at the word Jew is going to connect you to the tribe of Judah. The word Jew, Yehudi or Yehudians, is going to connect you to the tribe of Judah. So Paul ain't saying he's from two tribes. No. I pray this making sense. Paul not saying he's from the tribe of Benjamin and from the tribe of Judah. Paul ain't confused. I'm not trying to say nobody up here confused. I'm not saying that. Yeah. Question. In Philippians did Galatians. Cheddar biscuit. Man, hold on, man. Hold on. Y'all, now I see right there. Cheddar biscuits. Lord Jesus. Something tell me not look at that. Here we go. Circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel. See? He had no problem saying that he's Israel. Look at this. Of the tribe of Benjamin. He knows exactly what tribe he comes from. He knows exactly what. See, today, that's why I say it's a faith walk today. You know why everybody today say they Judah? You know why the Jew today say that they're Jew? You know what? The Jew today, like bought or not, say they're Jew because they say they saying that because they faithful to Torah. They faithful to Torah. Can't nobody tell you exactly what tribe they're from. It's a faith walk for all of us. It's a faith walk. But when they say they're a Jew, that means that they're faithful to Torah. They're faithful to God. And they ain't doing no good, they ain't got you sure. Don't get that twisted. Not a cheddar biscuit. Bible to say, man, I ain't what you talking about right there. But circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew. See? He calls himself a Hebrew. So there you got him being called a Jew in one passage, him being called, say, he of a tribe stock of Israel in this passage, and also saying he's a Hebrew. They all together. But when he say he's a Jew, he's saying he's faithful to Torah. He's faithful to Torah. Or faithful to God. Now let's look at something else. Watch this. Now let's watch this. Watch this. Watch this now. Listen, Elder. Okay, thank you. All right, that'll work. Looking out. Now, here's another point I'm gonna bring out that all the let's see. I just want to bring this point out here that I just want to bring a point out here showing that that not only did the he said my easy distracted. Man, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes yes, I am. I can answer that question sometimes because I get on a I ain't say easy distracted, but I got to be. Yeah, I won't say easy distracted, but if I'm not careful, I'll feed into something. Then I'm going on another whole trip. Here we go. So now let's look at this real quick. I want to bring this point out, showing that when they returned, not only did they return with Judah or Benjamin, or Levi or Simeon. Watch this. Let's go to Luke. Go to Luke chapter 2, verse 36. Luke 2. Now, I'm to bring on this point here. I understand that. Okay. This I'm gonna bring on here is just to show that when they returned some years, way years before this point, not only and we matter of fact, I know Professor Colvin can probably put in the chat before I can find it. I'm not trying to put him on the spot though. You're gonna see where it even mentions when they came out of exile that a lot of the tribes accompanied them. So it won't just one set of tribes. It was a whole group for more than one tribe. Okay. Now these ones began to be called the Jews because they were faithful to God. They're faithful to Torah. Now the ones, see, that's why you got some today that'll be called Ephraim, and that's another whole subject. Ephraim. That means they have assimilated to the nations. They have assimilated into other cultures, and some of them they're so assimilated they done lost, their identity, all that kind of stuff. They're called Ephraim. I mean, but that's another whole subject. But anyhow, everybody didn't assimilate back then. Some people came back, and it won't just Judah. So I'm just gonna show you one of the tribes that came back, and you see it present in the New Testament. Luke 2:36. Luke 2:36. And there was one Anna, a prophetess. If you look at the word Anna there, you can see that she was an Israelite woman, or Israelitess. She was an Israelitess. A prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. Of the tribe of Asher. See? She from the tribe of Asher. She was of a great age and had lived with her and husband 7 years from her virginity. So there's the one right there from the tribe of Asher that was present. So I just mentioned that verse right there, showing that when they came out of exile, it was not just Benjamin and Judah, Simeon, or Levi. It was Asher and some of all the tribes. But these ones that came out, remember, when you see in the New Testament where it says Jews, 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 it's talking about anybody that had came out of captivity. That's a Jew, that's an Israelite, that's a Hebrew, that's faithful to God. Now, that don't mean they crossed every T and dotted every I. No. But it picked up the terminology. It picked up the meaning, faithful to God, faithful to God's Torah. So it took on the meaning Jew to be any of the 12 tribes of Israel, no matter what tribe you're from. If you're faithful to God in His Torah, you're a Jew. That's basically what it is. If you're faithful to God in His Torah, no matter what tribe you're from, your physical bloodline is connected to. Like Paul with Benjamin. He's a Jew. He's a Jew. He's a Jew. but he's directly from the line of Benjamin. But why he calls himself a Jew is because he's saying he's faithful to Torah. That's what it meant. So, Pastor Tyler, I know that was a long one there. So to answer your question, these ones that jump up here and they say, they try to make a distinction. No. A lot of them just racist. They when they hear the word Jew, they just think so negative, think so, or the white man this, the white man that, white Jew this. Well, no, that's a bunch of garbage. You got the Ethiopian Jew that had no problem calling himself a Jew. I'm a Jew. I have no problem calling myself a Jew. Professor Cove is a Jew. I have no problem calling myself a Jew. I'm an Israelite. I have no problem calling myself an Israelite. Professor Cove is an Israelite. I have no problem calling myself an Israelite. I'm a Hebrew. I have no problem calling myself a Hebrew. Professor Cove is a Hebrew. I have no problem calling himself a Hebrew. No beef. Paul said it. Paul said he was a Jew. Paul said that he was an Israelite, but Israel, stock of Israel. Paul said he was a Hebrew of Hebrew. Paul won't confuse. Paul won't twist it up in some terminology. Paul won't battle in his head with the words. So, prayerfully, I hope that helps somebody tonight. Fam, I'm about to get up out of here. Until next time. It's been great. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. I'm going to say the priestly blessing. And then I hope y'all got some other night. Just know, if somebody come in your path, and this ain't just for Pastor Tyler, for anybody, trying to make this man, just try to divide stuff and confuse stuff, and please don't listen to that stuff. A lot of time these people ain't spend time in these subjects. They go in there and they got a bias. They already got, yeah, that's right, night, y'all. Amen. They already got an agenda, but you can't make everybody Bible Israel. You can't make everybody Bible Israel. You can't make everybody Bible Hebrew. Abraham was the first one called a Hebrew. You can't make Adam be a Hebrew Israelite or a Jew. You can't make Noah a Hebrew Israelite or a Jew. You can't make Melchizedek Hebrew Israelite or a Jew. You can't do all that. You can't do that. People do what they want to do, but they're not biblically correct. All right, family. Ivarakakadonai v'yishmereka Ya'adonai p'nevaleka v'kuneka Yisadonai p'nevaleka v'yasimleka. Shalom. May Yahweh bless me, Yahweh keep you. May Yahweh lift his face upon you, may he lift his countenance upon you, and bless you with shalom. In the name of the Prince of Shalom, Yahshua Mashiach, Jesus Christ. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Love you all until next time.